When learning gets difficult, people respond in different ways. Some keep going, some slow down but stay engaged, and others shut down entirely. The difference is rarely intelligence or effort, it's confidence. And confidence, especially in learning, is so misunderstood. Welcome to Learning ReFramed, Education Without the Noise. I'm Dr. Ken Feldman, and today we're talking about confidence. Specifically, learning confidence, not the loud, awkward kind, not bravado, not pretending to be sure. I mean, the quiet belief that says, I can work through this, even when it gets uncomfortable. Confidence is the difference between trying and avoiding, between persisting and disengaging, between learning that compounds and grows and learning that stalls. This matters whether if you're a student, a parent, or an adult learner, or someone trying to support someone's educational journey. Confidence isn't something people either have or don't. It's something that's built or eroded over time, but it can be rebuilt. So what learning confidence actually is, confidence in learning isn't about ease. People with healthy learning confidence still struggle. They still get things wrong. They still feel uncertain at times. The difference is how they interpret those moments. Learning confidence sounds like, I don't understand this yet. This is harder than I expected. I made a mistake, but I can adjust. It doesn't sound dramatic. It sounds steady. What confidence is not is always feeling capable, being naturally good at school, never doubting yourself, performing for others. Confidence is trust in your ability to learn, not proof you already know it. When trust weakens, people stop engaging, not because they can't learn, but because their learning feels unsafe. So how does confidence get damaged? Loss of confidence rarely comes from a singular event, from a singular moment. It's usually the result of repeated experiences that send the same message. This isn't working for you. These are the patterns we see over and over again. Students get overwhelmed. When the volume of work exceeds the capacity, the brain moves into protection mode. People freeze, they avoid, they disengage. Not out of laziness, out of self-preservation. This constant comparison. When learners measure themselves against others instead of their own progress, effort starts to feel pointless. Comparison turns learning into ranking. Ranking makes every struggle feel like evidence of failure. Then there's shame-based feedback. When mistakes are treated as deficits rather than information, people stop taking risks. And learning without risk doesn't work. There's perfection pressure. When only flawless outcomes are rewarded, people avoid starting at all. Perfection doesn't create confidence. It creates hesitation. These are the patterns don't reflect ability, they reflect the student's environment. I'll give you an example of a young student who had quietly stopped engaging. He wasn't disruptive. He wasn't defiant. He simply withdrew. Over time, what he learned that mistakes were costly and success was far, far out of his reach. We worked together, but we didn't raise expectations. We didn't motivate. We didn't push. We just adjusted the environment. We started with work he could complete successfully. We treated mistakes as normal. We named effort and strategy instead of outcomes. Gradually, he re-engaged. Nothing about his intelligence changed. His relationship with learning did. That's what confidence does. It restores access. There's a confidence framework. Confidence only grows when three conditions are present. Confidence people need evidence, real evidence that they can do the work, not affirmations, not encouragement alone. Small, genuine successes matter. Safety. Learners must know they can struggle without being judged. When mistakes are treated as part of the process, people stay engaged. And lastly, ownership. Confidence increases when learners feel involved, not managed. Choice, reflection, and participation matter more than control. When competence, safety, and ownership are present, confidence follows, not quickly, but steadily and reliably. So, what are the practical ways to build confidence? There are simple practices. They work because they're consistent. The first, start below the frustration point. Beginning slightly below a learner's current ability builds momentum. This isn't lowering standards, it stabilizes engagement. Use short, achievable goals. Small goals reduce resistance and create progress the brain can register. Progress builds belief. Frame feedback carefully. Start with what worked, then adjust what didn't. People learn more when they don't feel exposed. Treat the mistakes as information. Mistakes tell you where to focus next. They're not verdicts, they reflect regularly. Begin reflection helps belief, brief reflection helps learners see their own growth. Confidence grows when progress is visible. This works across different learners. Students regain willingness to try. Parents see reduced resistance. Adult learners release old narratives about ability. And educators notice more engagement with less work and pressure. Confidence changes behavior because it changes how the effort feels. Why this matters? Neurologically, when confidence is low, the brain perceives this as a threat. Threat narrows attention, weakens memory, and increases avoidance. When confidence improves, cognitive resources return. That's not motivational theory, it's how the brain functions. Confidence creates the conditions for learning to occur. Take a brief pause. Think about one area where confidence feels fragile. Not everything, but just one. What would make that area feel slightly safer? What would make progress more visible? You don't need a major breakthrough, you need a small shift. In closing, confidence is not a personality trait. It's the result of repeated experiences that say, I can stay with this. If confidence has been damaged, it can be rebuilt quietly, gradually, and intentionally. And that's where the real learning resumes. In episode 5, next time we're talking on Learning Reframed, we're talking about motivation. What motivation actually is, why it disappears, and how to design conditions which make starting easier and more consistent. If today's episode resonated with you, follow us on the podcast of your favorite platform and give us a like and follow us on YouTube. But most importantly, share this episode with someone you might feel finds it helpful. I'm Ken Feldman. Thanks for listening to Learning Reframed. We'll see you next time.